Hey everyone, we are back in the Thrive Well podcast, and we are kicking off the new year with realtor partner Presley. Thank you so much for meeting us here today.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited.
Let's start off with what it feels like right now to you, coming off your biggest real estate month that you've had thus far.
It went from being like super crazy to like now it's not super crazy and I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, wait, what is this like? Not juggling a million different things. So, but it feels really good.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember in the middle of your month, I'm like, how you doing? You're like, don't ask me that. I'll be fine. I just have to get through this next closing. And then you're like, this next closing. I think you had 4 in 1 month, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was incredible.
It was in the same week, actually. So it was
like... Which for any agent is wild, much less like a new first-year agent. That's unbelievable. Okay, so that's over with, and you're back to the grind and stone, right? What would you give advice to an agent in their first year, saying to them as you walked through 4 closings in 1 week? What would you say about how you got there, what it felt like, what you learned?
Those 4 closings started at a lot of different times, and it just so happened like they came into fruition at the end of the year. So that was kind of almost a whole year's work. So just keeping on doing like your follow-up and just calling, like I called all of those people many times. And just like having faith and sticking with it for sure. Because everybody says like, trust the process. Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to trust the process.
You have to have patience, right? Which is tough to do when it comes to money. That's one of the hardest things I found for people in real estate, including myself when I first got started. And then when I restarted and realized I don't want to keep restarting, is the patience around trusting the process that the money will come. It's painful. So now that you've gotten through the 4 closings and the fruits of your labor are here and done and you're moving forward in your career, what was it like for you to go from working so hard for those deals to come to fruition in this year to saying like, hey, I'm a dual career and now I want to go full time? What caused the decision to go full time?
It was like a hamster wheel. Always like having another job and trying to lead generate all the time. And it was like I was literally doing everything 7 days a week and it wasn't like nothing was happening. So actually when I slowed down, like when I quit my other jobs, my business exploded both times. I did it twice. And so the second time, like I'm not doing it again. Like I'm not going back to my old ways of having like serving money, quick money. I'm just gonna like continue to just do real estate because it's worthwhile. Yeah, it's hard trusting the process and having faith and not leaning on that easy money. But in the end, like long term, it's worth it.
Yeah. So when you decided the second time to say, I'm done with the quick money, the serving and all of that, and I'm going to go full time in real estate, what was it that truly prompted you to say, okay, today's the day. I'm quitting everything. I'm going all in now?
It was just too stressful. Like, I don't want to live my life like that anymore. It's just too hard to try to do everything. And when it's real estate, it's not like you clock in and out. So it's a little bit different. Like how much energy you have and how you show up makes like a huge difference compared to being like a W-2 or clocking in. Like you can physically be there, but not necessarily like show up your best and you're still getting paid. Whereas real estate, I feel like you really got to kind of be on top of things and be your truly best self to like thrive and succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, I think for jobs that require more intellect, like just, and I was a server. I have nothing against that, but in real estate, you have to be ready to problem solve multi-million-dollar problems at all times. And whether it's a $200,000 problem or truly a multi-million-dollar problem, like you can't be batteries at 0.5% and I'll give it my best go, client, right? So I agree with that. I think that's really important that you've got a full battery, you've got bandwidth, and you're giving your your clients what they are paying for, right? Which is your time, attention, and expertise. Love that. So what advice would you give someone who is dual career and on the fence of going full time?
Try to get away from your like steady income job as much as you can, even if it's just like cutting back. For me, budgeting was huge. Like I made a lot of sacrifices with like I didn't get to go shopping for fun clothes. Like I wasn't really getting my hair done. I was investing a ton of my money into my business and trying to be like a better version of myself with health and knowledge and all of those things. So if you can get there to budget and like sacrifice those things, that way a little bit of money would go a long way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. That's pretty mature and amazing to do.
Yeah, it stinks. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't have the cutest clothes this month or this year. And, like, I'm not up with the trends or whatever. But it's definitely worth it to, like, sacrifice that for a little bit.
Amazing. What caused you, Presley, like, at such a young age to say, I'm going to get my real estate license?
I make really, like, I can't pick out what yogurt at the grocery store, but when it comes to life decisions, I just, like, one day wake up and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. So I left nursing school, which was really sad, and I got a temporary job working, like, the serving job with Jennifer.
Okay.
Yes, we were in the kitchen making salads, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to go. We're just chatting. She's like, I'm going to go get my real estate license. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was like a godsend moment. I'm like, Jen, that's what I want to do. So that is like God telling me like everything is okay. It happened for a reason. And then I went and got my license, and Kristen, she got me like right in it. I was like, I'll just be a showing partner or something. That's how it was presented on Indeed. And she was like, no, Presley, you're just hopping right in. She didn't even give me a choice. So I was like, okay, Kristen. And then here I am.
Here you are.
Yes.
And you did do some showing partner work, a ton of it.
Yes.
So I'm sure that helped catapult you into a space of saying, okay, I have the confidence, I have the competency, and here we go. We're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So how did you end up managing the dual career status when it was working? Because I imagine at some point it was working until you woke up one day and realized, oh my God, I'm stressed out. I don't have any time for the things I actually want to be doing. Nothing's actually working. But before that, everyone is in a position usually when they come to real estate where they're doing a couple of things at once. And it works until you realize it's not working. So how did you make it work? What was the way that you went about managing it?
I worked mostly night shifts. So real estate during the day, work at night. There really was no free time, and I really was just doing everything.
What I hear you saying is I simply sacrificed my time. That's how I managed it. I put what I had into quick income making environments, and then on the time I had left over, I was doing as much real estate as possible.
Gosh, it just wasn't working, actually. Like,
you're like, I wasn't managing.
No, I wasn't. Like, it was like 6 or 7 months, and I actually had a health scare, which
goodness.
I didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just like over exhausted.
Go. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shoot, like this, I can't physically like do everything.
Wow.
So that's when I finally got the courage to quit my job and slow down. And so, yeah, it really wasn't working.
Very good, though. I mean, I think that's important for people to hear. And thank you for that transparency, because that's the God's honest truth. Like, you try and do everything. The reality is that is not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Thrive exists, right? Even as a real estate agent, if you were to have to do every facet of your business, it's the same situation you're talking about by holding 2 jobs. It's like the jobs of 5 people that a realtor is traditionally supposed to be doing. And it doesn't work. It leads to that where you're like, gosh, I'm really tired, and the money doesn't matter because my health is my real wealth, and that's gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the worst, and it's been like, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Like, that's why I'm big on slowing down now, because I'm like, wow, it does help me go farther.
Yes.
A lot farther than when I was doing everything all the time. Logically, I was like, I'm doing open houses every weekend. I'm working every weeknight. Like, I should have more money. I should have more clients. And it just, it just was not working. And so that's what gave me the motivation to quit my job.
Yeah.
And it was way better after I quit my job.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, now maybe you can help people understand that now you've quit your job. Let's call that your safety net for the moment, right? That quick money where you're like, I know what's coming in. If I go, I get paid right then and there, right? Whereas in real estate, it's time on task over time. And ultimately, your pipeline grows and it compounds, but it isn't quick money. It takes time. Like a real estate deal at best closes in 30 days. So if nothing else, you don't get a paycheck until 30 days has passed. So now that you've closed all those deals in 1 week and you're working full time on real estate, what are the things you're focused most on?
Oh, I was just talking to Ryan about this. My routine. I've worked a lot of like night jobs. I was working at the club, get home at like 4 a.m. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I know myself. And when I worked at the hospital, I woke up at like 4 a.m. I would work out, like have breakfast, get showered, go work at 7 a.m. So I know it's possible for me to get closer to there. And that's when I really like thrive and feel good and have a lot more energy. So really focusing on my health and my routine moving forward.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more that the health component makes everything else work regardless, right? Without it, like you experienced, once you have a health scare, there is nothing more important to you. You realize how precious that piece of life is to take care of, and everything else falls in line.
Yes.
So what do you do to take care of your health?
Well, I've always been pretty intuitive about how I eat, but just moving my body is huge, making more energy. That's the way I kind of look at it. And then like sleeping better, it all just kind of tumbles into like a big momentum that really helps. I like to go to yoga now.
Yes.
That's something new that I never did. It's really hard for somebody like me who's super anxious and like racing thoughts, but that's why I like to go to it, because it helps me with like things like that. But yeah, slowing down a little bit is a new thing that I really have never incorporated into my health before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a saying that we use a lot here, not only in real estate, but with special ops, which is let's slow down to speed up. And so if you slow down and create a proper process and you take the time to make the plan and then facilitate roles and assignments, the execution of that is so much smoother and you can go so much faster. You can do it 2, 10, 20 times over rather than like run and gun.
Yes, I'm starting this new year just doing real estate. This is my huge focus, and it's so hard because I'm used to like I'll lead generate for like 8 hours one day or whatever, because that's all I have that week, and I'm trying to make it more like smaller chunks more consistently so that it's like I don't feel burnt out or get burnt out. I am creating an efficient process and feeling good too.
With you looking at 2024 and now it's full time, and you understand now how it breaks and how to make it. When you are reviewing your routine and the steps you're going to take to be successful this year, what is one tool or resource that you could share with our listeners that you know without a doubt, with what you've gone through, the ups and the downs and the sideways and the I'm in, I'm out, I'm in. What is it that that you could teach them right now that they could use and not make some of the challenging decisions you had to do?
Podcasts, I do wake up almost every single morning. Mornings are a little rough, and I put like motivational, spiritual, any type of podcast on that really, really helps with my mindset, because it can get like really loud in this industry of like, you're working too hard and you're not getting paid, or I have something bigger and better. And I was just like so many distractions, and I need something that just like lets me focus in on my goals and like me and my business, and the shiny objects aren't always worth going for. So that's huge, listening to mindset podcasts of just being like positive. And then realty.com leads. That's most of my business. So I like...
You're like these two things and you got it.
Pretty much, yeah.
So a good lead source and something to keep your mind straight.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, because exactly what you're talking about is primarily the reason why agents exit the industry in year 2. The 87% of people that don't make it, and that's an average stat year over year, not with the economic shift that we just went through. That's average to real estate, which is bananas. 87%.
Yeah.
Could it get any higher? It's just unbelievable. So they exit because they can't stay committed to one thing. And so it's this constant, massive restart. And if you look at the compound effect, or you've read that book, you are just restarting that journey every single time, learning new skills, new ways of doing things, and you never compounded enough to get to that hockey stick of success. So I love that you've recognized that, and you're doing something to keep your mind rooted and focused and calm, because it is loud. It is noisy. This is the Thrive Well podcast. What do you feel it means to thrive well?
What does it mean to thrive well? Well, being a part of the community here is always great. Coming into the office, having like smiling faces and nice conversations, and like uplifting each other and celebrating each other and helping each other, focusing on your health and wellness. And it's not always perfect, trying to figure out how to run a business, but just like waking up and keep on trying every day, even though some days or weeks you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I know you guys say, or we say, every day and every way we get better, or something along those lines. And that's kind of how I feel when I wake up in the morning. It's like, okay, it's another opportunity just to try again and keep pushing and just get better.
Yeah. And take it day by day, right? I mean, sometimes you're going to have bad days. That's totally fine. Sometimes you might even have a bad week. You're human. We all are. Yeah. So it happens to all of us. And I think in this world of real estate, it's so fast paced. It's so flashy. And especially with social media right now, right? It just exasperates all of that. It's glamorized big time. And I think one thing I feel so responsible for, just because I felt the same way when I came into this industry, and I really came here simply for happiness and freedom. Like, that was it. It wasn't to make beaucoup bucks. It wasn't to outpace my salary I had in corporate America. It was simply to say, like, I love what I'm doing, and I'm making enough money to live a really nice life. That's it. A simple life. And I think the flashiness is what has the mind go, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing it fast enough. I'm not closing enough. So I can appreciate everything you just said. That's why Thrive Well exists. Yes. Yes.
Like, I think I blacked out a couple of those questions. But...
No, you did great. Is there anything else that we can talk about that you think would be really helpful for agents listening?
I guess I would probably speak to like most new agents, most likely, who are struggling, is just have a little bit of faith and keep showing up. And I guess my biggest takeaway actually is that you just have to drown out all the noise. And sometimes you do have to go in a room by yourself, or some weeks if you have some really specific goals, like you don't get to do the fun things, but it's always worth it to just stay focused and have fun when you can.
Yes. And I think that's, like hashtag adulting, right?
I'm getting there.
I know. You learn to love it, but it does take a minute. There are days when even I'm like, wow, I am adulting so hard right now. Love it. So Presley, if a buyer or seller wants to work with someone like you that's going to go to work for them, work hard for them, or a new agent needs some advice and wants to repeat exactly what you just did this last year, how can they get at you?
I'm an old soul, so I would say give me a call, and my phone number is 231-690-6278, and then we can have a fun conversation.
Perfect.